Hello and welcome back to the Tottenham Hour podcast. And I have a little bit of a feeling the mood in this one is going to be slightly better than last week. I'm joined again by Sim and Ben and the returning David, the Irish Hotspur, after an incredible substitute appearance by Jack and Nicky last Wednesday. David, welcome back to the show. How are you getting on?
Absolutely buzzing. Couldn't be any better spirits. Look, I genuinely believe people can say I'm probably the only person that probably predicted a win this against.
David, go check the vlog, mate. Go check the vlog.
It's amazing what a beer will do to you.
Hey.
How are you this evening, Ben?
I'm doing great, mate. I mean, my voice is slowly coming back from what was a crazy, eventful trip up to Manchester. Loved every second of it. And yeah, I'm here to tell the tale. Absolutely brilliant stuff. 3-2 win up at the Etihad. What more can you ask for?
What more indeed. Look, we'll get onto your tales very shortly. Sim, I'm sure you enjoyed the game as well, but how are you getting on this evening?
Yeah, couldn't be in a better place, to be honest. This whole past few days, just been rewatching the highlights, been analysing everything. It's been the best time to do Spurs content at the moment. After a win at the Etihad like that, it was just such a great performance, full of grit, determination, and answering all the questions I asked of us over the past week or so about mentality, about reacting to things when we went badly. And Harry Kane showing up at a big game. It just couldn't get any better than it did on Saturday.
Do you know what? That is without a shadow of a doubt, the most beautiful thing about that it was a Harry Kane masterclass. It was a Harry Kane brace and it was a Harry Kane last minute winner. It was so beautiful. Look, we'll get into all the nitty gritty details. But for those who may have missed it, Tottenham won 3-2 at the Etihad on Saturday. We're gonna look at that. And I want to start with the first goal because it was typical Tottenham against Manchester City. Look, from a City perspective, I was quite surprised that 4 minutes into the game they were caught out with a high line, which is what we've been catching them out with for 3, 4, 5 years. I felt there was a bit of naivety about that one. But David, Harry Kane with an utterly ridiculous pass, unselfish from Son, and cool, calm, collected finish by Dejan Kulusevski. But it was a start that I think we only could have dreamed of.
To be honest with you, I actually really praise that start from Tottenham because against a team like City, it's very easy just for Hugo Lloris to send them high up the pitch, pump it into their half just to get us up into their half nice and early and try and put a bit of pressure on. But we didn't do that. We played out the short kick, but we played it to Romero. Now, in other weeks, if Sanchez was there, that ball more than likely would have been pumped long or gone into Emerson under trouble. What does Romero do? Cool, calm and collected, switches play out to Ben Davies, who's in acres of space, then into Harry Kane. But this is where you have to praise Harry Kane and Son and the telepathic relationship, which then also came into light for Harry Kane's first goal. We'll get onto that when we get onto that. But for this goal, if Harry Kane takes that touch, Son is offside. So it was a perfect way on the pass for Ben Davies. The fact that he hits it first time and Son's run was absolutely timed to perfection. But then for Son then to have that composure and not be greedy and slot it to Kulu for an easy goal to put us one up. It just goes to show that there is a bit of team spirit there and there is a bit of a team mentality there because his son could have very easily been selfish, but he wasn't. He wanted to get the team 1-0 up and credit for it. Absolutely brilliant start to the game. I genuinely couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I didn't get to watch the game live, and it's possibly one of the biggest regrets I have in my life, to be honest, that I couldn't sit down and watch that. I rewatched it all last night though, so don't worry. I know just how good we were. But yeah, that first goal, I'm going to touch on a little bit later. Romero and Bentancur and how important they were to the tactics that we had, David, like you mentioned, because it was passing out from the back. It wasn't just lumping the ball up, let Kane flick it on and Son get in. We actually passed the ball very well. But we go to the goals first of all, and Ben, I'll come to you in this one. City possibly could have had an equaliser earlier, but it did take until the 32nd minute, and it's unfortunate to mention, but it was another error from Hugo Lloris. Have you any more to add on that?
Not really. I mean, penalty aside, our last 3 goals before that all have come from Hugo Lloris clangers, really. It is a bit worrying, but we've seen it with Hugo Lloris before. We've seen him bounce back. It was a weird one because in the last game, he kind of punched it instead of trying to catch it. This one, he tried to catch it and just completely fumbled it. So, yeah, it wasn't great to see, but we clawed it back. So no one's really talking about it too much. But It is worrying signs, to be honest, from Hugo, but I back him to bounce back, no problem whatsoever. But just before I move on the first goal I wanted to touch on, I don't know if any of you've seen Antonio Conte's Instagram. He said he's put up a clip of the first goal, and the caption's "counterattacks" with a question mark. Maybe not. I love that.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? I was actually just watching the Conte cam while we were playing the intro video there, and the best thing about that is when the ball goes into Harry Kane from Ben Davies, Conte is screaming for him to play it out the other side, and then Kane whips that pass around the corner. You can see Conte's taken by surprise, like, how has he done that? And then, obviously in on goal, and such an important one there. But look, into the second half, and like for me, when City got that equaliser, that just seems like a moment when you're playing a team like Man City where you're terrified and you're almost sitting back waiting for that second goal to go in. But as much as City came out fighting at the start of that second half, it really wasn't the case. And it was such, again, a long ball from Kane that was so unfortunate not to reach Son, kind of started it off. But then that awareness, and for Harry Kane to be able to flow through that space completely unmarked, not attracting the attention of any defender, to be able, like, that movement, to actually be able to get into that spot. And he did it in the first half as well. There's at one point Emerson could have picked him out at the back post, but that goal as well makes Son and Kane the joint most effective duo in Premier League history, combining for 36 goals along with Didier Drogba and Frank Lampard. But I mean, that goal, that ball from Son, that finish from Harry Kane, it was just sheer excellence, wasn't it?
Yeah, and as you were saying, when the equaliser came, it came from a mistake, and it plays into all the narratives that have been talked about going into this game. That Tottenham can play well, but Conte says they're too emotional. They react badly to when things start to go wrong, or when something bad happens in the game, they react badly to it. And it was all set up for that to happen. Once Gundogan equalises, it's only like you're thinking it's a matter of time. Can Tottenham just hold out for a draw? It's a matter of time before City get the second goal. But I actually think in the second half we definitely improved, because in the first half we pretty much only had that goal, and then we didn't have too much else. But in the second half, we came out and we were definitely looking to create many more chances. And again, just like the first goal, the second goal also started from a play from the back. It wasn't just a counter attack. It started. We built it with Emerson. It wasn't a counter attack. It was just quick attacking, direct football. That's all it was. It wasn't a counter. And obviously, Kane plays that ball over top to Sonny, and obviously it doesn't actually reach Sonny, but thankfully Sessegnon's there supporting. If Sessegnon's not there, it falls to a Man City player. He's backing it up. He plays in Son, and Kane, he's only able to make that late run into the box unsighted because he's so deep, and it allows him to make those late runs in the box, because if he's hanging around the penalty area all the time, the defenders are going to be very, very aware of him. They're going to know he's there, and he's going to be very easily picked up because he was so deep. And he played the ball early, and then all of a sudden all the defenses focused on Son, because they know if he cuts inside and shoots from that position, he can be clinical. So all the eyes on the ball. Kane goes in at the back post, and Cancelo can see him, but he can't go to him because he's got Kulu. So it leaves him completely free, and it's a great finish as well. That is, by the way, so underrated. Across his body, allows it to run across him, and then just one touch into the far corner. Could have even taken a touch. Didn't need to though. It was clinical finishing, and it was world class by Kane. And the whole move was not a counter. It was all telegraphed. It was brilliant.
And just to add to that as well, as soon as Sonny did turn in on the right foot, Kane knew. Because if you go back and look at it, Kane straight away went. And that's where the telepathic sort of communications is coming back. Because if that was any other player, say if that was Lucas Moura on that side, does Kane go? Probably not. But the fact that Son was on the right, coming in on his right foot, he knew if I make that run, he will find me. And if not, he'll shoot, and there'll be a rebound there. And that's what you like to see, that sort of communication starting to come back, that sort of hunger, that desire, that work rate for each other to be able to create them goals against Man City. I'm delighted to see that coming back.
And actually, if you take a snapshot of when the Son puts the cross in, we have Højbjerg running in the box, we have Kulu at the back post, you have Kane there, and you have Sessegnon as well, supporting Son when he whips in the cross. So we had numbers forward, and it showed we were brave. We were willing to commit numbers at certain times. It wasn't just a case of relying on Kane and Son up front to create stuff. We were committing players forward when we could, and that proved dividends.
And even to give Session a bit more credit for that, if when he plays that ball to Son, if he wants to stand back and watch his excellent, he doesn't. He's right on that bike again. He's running around the outside, looking for that ball back into the channel. And if he doesn't do that, well, the space isn't there for Son to cut in onto that right foot and to put the ball on the plate for Kane, which was, of course, a brilliant ball into the box. And like you said, Sim, an incredible finish. It could have got even better for Spurs shortly after when Kulusevski's deflected shot fell into the path of Kane. He put it away, but unfortunately, in the end, Kulusevski was offside. And we'll touch a bit on the mentality of the team later, and I think that could have been a huge turning point in that game. But again, incredible work ethic and passion from that team to turn it around. But what was an even bigger turning point, David, was the equaliser for Manchester City, which ultimately came in the 92nd minute. A handball by Christian Romero. I've seen Spurs fans give out about it. I think it was a stonewall penalty. I think without VAR, it's a very difficult decision for the referee to make. But when he has that screen in front of him, when he go back and look at that, he kind of has to give that penalty. Would you agree with that, David?
Oh, look, as soon as he was going back to the screen, you knew it was going to be awarded. Look, I agree it was a penalty, but at the same time, I was like, here we go again. Typical Tottenham going to get a good result. All of a sudden, VAR or something, is going to get in the way of it. Look, it was a stonewall penalty. What more can I say? It was dispatched very well as well. Hugo Lloris was never getting to that either. It was a great finish by Mahrez. It was right up into the roof of the net as well. But look, I'm not really going to get onto Romero's back for it either, because to be fair to him, he was the only one coming across to try and get a block on it. So to be fair to the guy, at least he was doing the right thing. Just next time, I'm guessing in the Premier League now, they want you to start jumping like you're a pencil. So, maybe he just needs to learn to put his hands in behind his back and do some sort of unnatural jump that the Premier League want them to do nowadays.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. And I felt so bad as well for Romero, because he was so good in that game. I've actually changed the background on my phone to Christian Romero. That's how much I enjoyed his performance in that one. And after the penalty was put in, the camera cut to him, and you could see how dejected he was. And understandably, he had a brilliant game, and he felt like he'd let his teammates down. But then Tottenham's somehow we have this ridiculous just habit, I suppose. Conte time. I love that. But late against Manchester City, VAR always seems to play a part in this instance. It was them getting their penalty. But the most impressive thing about that winning goal was that, as much as we could have just lumped the ball up, tried to hold it in the corner, or gone extremely direct to try and find that, there was one point in particular when Kane got the ball in the build-up to the goal, and I've been kind of critical of him in recent weeks. Has been getting that confidence back, where he always looks for that Hollywood pass. Like, I expect him at that point to ping it out the right to Kulusevski or Doherty, whoever was out there. But he kept his composure, played it back to Bentancur, fed across the line, a bit of quick passing around the right-hand side, a brilliant ball down to Kulusevski. And look, we all know what happened there. What was it like? I suppose I know the answer, but just describe what it was like in the stadium at that point. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
I'm getting goosebumps remembering it, but it was, I can't even describe the feeling. It was absolutely unbelievable. When the penalty gets scored, I'm turning around to Sim, I'm turning around to Brian, I'm being like, all right, when's City's third going in now? When's City's third going in? Because you got 7 minutes up on the clock. City have just equalised in the 91st minute, and you're like, all right, here we go again. But I was just in a state of shock, to be honest. I was like, how can this team keep doing this to us? Just stop, Tottenham. Like, every time it's just a complete heartache, but I won't have it any other way. You know what I mean? It was just complete euphoric feeling. It really was. And when Harry Kane leaped up and pushed and basically shoved Kyle Walker out of the way, headed it into the back of the net, that away end popped off. The scenes in that away end was something special. It really was. And the celebrations after, I mean, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I can't describe my feelings. I really can't. And that's Tottenham for you. That's Tottenham. We'll go lose 2 games at home in the space of a week where everyone's kind of expecting us to win. And then we'll go up to Manchester City and win 3-2. But it's like, it feels like the fitness is coming back to Spurs now, because you saw in the Pochettino era, this happened time and time again, where we would get late goals and win the game late on. And now under Conte, we've done it like 3 or 4 times now, isn't it? The Watford game, the Leicester game, the Man City game now. And it feels like this team are really fighting till the end. I know we're going to have our mishaps, and we have had our mishaps, but it really seems as though the fitness is really coming back to Tottenham now.
It does, and it's coming at a crucial point as well, because actually being able to bounce back from those defeats is really important. Look, there's no better way to do it. Shreyash says it in the comments there. Decky wasn't celebrating initially because he thought he was offside after the goal was confirmed, or after the goal was confirmed, then he did celebrate. I don't know if you've seen the footage of that, but it's I think from the City stands where you can see Kulusevski when it goes in, everyone runs off celebrating, and he turns around to the linesman just waiting for the flag to go up. Same, obviously in the ground, you don't have the luxury that we have of seeing those highlights, seeing the replays immediately, and knowing that the goal is going to stand. How anxious was that wait, and how long did it feel like?
Yeah, it felt like forever, to be honest, because we just had one ruled out, and you're thinking, it's not going to happen again. Something's going to go against us. It's because, it's just going to play on our mind, isn't it? Waiting for that big moment, because you just can't quite believe what's gone on. And you're thinking it's just going to be that's probably what's going to happen, be ruled out. But look, when it got given, that was an unbelievable moment. But go on, Kulu, his composure in the 95th minute to cut it inside and just float a beautiful cross right into Harry Kane's path, allowing him a run on the ball to just beat Kyle Walker to it. I can't think of a player who's put like a winger we've had who can put in a cross like that for a very, very long time, especially from the right-hand side. And it capped off a brilliant performance from him. And I thought he really turned up for Spurs. And this was a game he announced himself and said, look, I'm your player now. This is what I can do. And I thought he was brilliant. I was so happy for him. And it was not just that. It was just, as you say, the build-up for the third goal was so composed, so measured, popping it around, opening up the space. Bentancur, Romero, all involved in opening it up. And then on Kulusevski, obviously, to Harry Kane. And it was a sight to behold. And it was and the fact as well that, at 2-2 was 5 minutes to go. We could have just shut up shop. We could have just played it around the back and then waited for City to press us and then just hoofed it long and get back into shape. We could have easily done that and gone for the draw, but we didn't. We came there for 3 points. We didn't just come there to take part, and we absolutely got them. And I think we were well worth the victory. And for all of City's shots and possession, we had all the better chances, and we were well organised. And that's what counted at the end of the day. And I think finally they did exactly what Conte wanted them to do, and I thought it was an absolute top-notch performance.
Something that kind of caught me by surprise when I was watching the game back. So I was expecting to see chances galore for Manchester City, because that's the way it always is when we beat them. Somehow we manage to come out of those games with 3 points, but there's always, they get a disallowed goal, or they've, Lloris makes some great saves, they miss penalties, but that just wasn't the case. I mean, Gundogan hit the post at one point, and Lloris made a good save as well. Was it from Gundogan as well? But aside from that, they didn't really have much other than the goals, and it just goes to show the control that we had in that game. And City fans have been saying we're a terrible counter-attacking team, we're this, we're that, but we deserve to win that game. And I think anyone who says differently doesn't understand football. Because you can see with City probably had more shots, they had more possession. You can say it looks as though they were the better team or they had more control, but they really didn't. And Tottenham at no point looked as though we were going to throw that away, even when that momentum changed. And David, that's the point I want to talk about now, because we mentioned last Wednesday the mentality that we saw in that Leicester win back in January, completely different when we throw away that win against Southampton and when we go 2-0 down against Wolves inside 16 minutes. And there were 3 points in that game, the 2 equalisers and the disallowed goal that we had, where the entire momentum shifted towards Manchester City and the crowd was getting behind them and we were on the back foot, but somehow we managed to keep fighting back, and somehow we managed to take the lead 3 times in a single game at the Etihad. Where do you think that mentality comes from?
Because you've got 11 winners out there, Matty. I mean, the last couple of weeks, we've had Harry Winks in midfield and Davinson Sanchez at centre-back. And I'm going to keep repeating this until people get bored of listening to it. But when these guys step in, there's such a drop-off in quality that everyone else around them starts getting nervous because of the mistakes they make. And then everyone else's belief starts kind of, they start losing belief every time these guys play. Look, there's no coincidence that Emerson looks so much better with Romero in beside him. Because with Romero on that right side centre-back, he's supposed to come out and cover Emerson once Emerson has gone forward. He's supposed to come out and help Emerson. And a lot of people have been criticising Emerson, but I actually see Emerson doing a lot of the right things. He's showing the wingers on the outside, which is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to let them come on the inside. And when they do, Romero's there to sweep it up, not Davinson Sanchez, who was being caught out so much But then you look into midfield, you have Winks and you have Bentancur and Højbjerg. A lot of people have been blaming Højbjerg for what's been going on in the middle of the park lately. He's off standard. But what I've been noticing is Højbjerg has been doing all the running. Harry Winks, like, you seen it against City. When Højbjerg went, Bentancur went with him. So there was no easy passes across the middle. We completely blocked it up. When Harry Winks is in the team, that doesn't happen because he's already 10 yards behind whoever's pressing. He's already anticipating the danger. And when they run at him, he's dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. Whereas we didn't have that against Man City. Even at times, there was one stage where everyone was on our own line across the box. Bentancur went and pressed. He went and pressed 1 and 2. Then Højbjerg's like, oh, if he's doing it, I have to go with him. So these new signings that have come in as well have really played their part. You look at Kulu, he's come in. As much as people have praised Lucas, our biggest problem with the guy was the end product. There wasn't enough coming from it. Kulu's come in. He's provided a lot of end product, but he also provides what Lucas provides defensively. He got stuck in a lot of the times, Kulu as well. And for me, I just think that the signings have added that bit of extra quality in midfield. Like, Kane doesn't feel like he needs to play them Hollywood passes like you were saying all the time, Matty, because he knows Bentancur can do it. But when you see Bentancur do it, Højbjerg's doing slice passes straight down the line for Sessegnon or Sonny, whoever it may be. And it's bringing out the best of each other in that team. But once you have your best 11 out there, maybe you'd argue Reguilon for Sessegnon maybe. But once you have your best 11 out there, Spurs can beat anybody on their day. We know we have the quality. But the problem is the drop-off. And when the likes of a Winks and a Sanchez come in, we've seen over the years that they do not have that winning mentality that we need. Because once Pochettino would start relying on them, sacked. Jose Mourinho relies on them, sacked. You know, last couple of games, Conte's had to rely on them. People wanted us to change the tactics to suit Harry Winks and everything else. Proves you don't have to do that. People questioning two-man midfield, it can't work. When you put the two right men in there, Bentancur and Højbjerg, it makes a complete difference. Look, we all want to get back to the ideal midfield partnership, which is a Dembele and a Wanyama. The Dembele was the ball carrier and the ball player. Wanyama was the ball winner. That's what you have now with Bentancur and Højbjerg. It's just about having the right pairing in there. And once you start winning your midfield battles, you normally will go and win the game. And that's where the strong mentality comes from. But also, don't forget, you've got Harry Kane rising like a rocket. Half the world, when you seen Harry Kane leap like that, they thought Putin was off testing his missiles again. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no bigger fan of Bentancur than me, and I do want to touch on that performance a little bit later. We're also going to talk a lot about Harry Kane. I think we're going to go through some individual performances which will build up to David talking solely about Harry Kane, which I think is a great way to run the show. But Ben, David mentioned there how much more assured Emerson looked with Christian Romero inside him, and I think that's even more pronounced when you realise how heavily Manchester City played, geared towards that side. And Joao Cancelo, I feel, had more touches than everyone else on the pitch combined. And at times he got into good positions, he had some good efforts, but for the most part, when you're Emerson and you're having a very tough time adapting to Tottenham, let's not beat around the bush. He's had some very poor performances. The crowd are turning against him a lot. To be faced up by an informed Joao Cancelo and an informed Raheem Sterling in that game, and to still never really look out of your depth and never look massively uncomfortable, it was testament to him, and as David mentioned, to Romero alongside him as well.
Yeah, it was testament to both of them, but I think it was mostly testament down to Conte and the system that we played on the day. I really believe that. I mean, out of possession, the way we were set up, I think Emerson had a lot of protection, both from Romero and from Kulusevski. So I think that it was a big testament to the system, but you got to give him credit to the way he performed as well, because yes, they had a few sniffs down his side, but most of all, he was spot on defensively. I mean, he didn't really contribute that much going forward, but I think spot on defensively, and with Romero by his side, you can just see a bit of calmness about him as well. He wasn't so erratic how he has been in the past in terms of playing out from the back and stuff like that, and not closing down his man. When he's got Sanchez next to him, it just seems like two headless chickens next to each other. That's what it just seems like. And when you've got Dyer in the middle there controlling both Davis and Romero, and then you've got Romero in the middle of Dyer and Emerson as well, it's just like calmness personified. And it just makes such a difference having Dyer in the middle of the back there. He just controls everything. He brings that kind of calmness, and he's got that leadership mentality that none other of our defenders have. So I think that it was mainly down to the system why Emerson performed like he did, to be honest.
Just a quick stat, just to back up what Ben's saying about Eric Dyer. The 9 games in the Premier League that he started in the middle of a back three, we are yet to lose. We have won 6 and drawn 3 and kept 5 clean sheets. And so that shows the importance of Eric Dyer. But just quickly as well to touch on Emerson. A lot of people were giving out about Emerson's ability going forward. But they didn't want to question where the attacking output was coming from Lucas. But now that you see that attacking output from Kulu, the Emerson's weakness going forward is not going to be anywhere near highlighted, nowhere near as much, because Kulu is doing his job from that right-hand side. I think Spurs fans were putting all their frustrations of nothing coming down that side on a guy who's supposed to be protecting defence first. And hopefully Kulu can keep that up. And then people might get off Emerson's case and give him a bit of time to settle.
But it also just one game for Kulu as well. Just remember Steven Bergwijn's debut, yeah? He also scored against Man City.
Yeah, true. But one thing I'd say about Emerson, as much as, you know, on the ball, his quality and end product might not be the best. Like, how many times does Kane pick up the ball and find Emerson on the right wing, just being an option, overlapping, making himself available? Those things are crucial, especially when you're playing against a team like Man City, who put you under so much pressure and you need an out ball. If you got Doherty there, he's never going to be an option. He's never going to be able to get away from his man. He's never going to be able to find space on the other side of the pitch. Yeah, Emerson is always there, and just like how we said about Sessegnon and him being there makes a difference. And same with Emerson. That's why I would persist with him at right wing back for the time being, because I just think that's important, especially in this system, because it opens up space. And even if he does, his quality in crossing isn't the best, maybe he can find someone else, pass the ball on, and it creates opportunities.
Yeah, and I think Emerson isn't the only player that was affected by the presence of Romero. I said it quite a lot under Nuno Espirito Santo, and I hate to bring this up because that was painful. But a clear characteristic of that Tottenham team for me was trying to pass the ball out from the back, the ball ending up at Eric Dyer, who then had a slight bit of pressure, panicked, ran away, and put it out for a throw. That happened more times than I care to admit in games for Spurs, but Christian Romero on the ball is so calm and so composed. He doesn't care who's pressing him. He'll look up, he'll get that head up for a pass. He won't boot the ball away. He'll try and pick out players with him. And when you have that calmness and you have that approach to when you're in possession, you almost have an extra couple of seconds on the ball. Because it doesn't matter when someone is closing you down, you can still have that extra second to pick out your pass. And I really feel like that is rubbing off on Eric Dyer, because there was a few times in that game where he was on the edge of his own box with the ball, that someone closed him down, and he managed to clip a clever little ball into Harry Kane, or kind of ping one out to Sessegnon or to Emerson, whoever it was. And Eric Dyer, I don't want to say that him coming back into the team is the only reason we beat Manchester City, because it's not. But he played a very, very big part in that Tottenham defence. And Antonio Conte said he was going to turn him in, or he could turn him in to one of the best centre-backs in the world. I'm still going to question that statement. But in terms of starts for improving a player, I think Eric Dyer is the perfect example of what Conte can do.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much we miss him when he's gone now, isn't it? Considering how going into this season, everyone was happy to see the back of him, and now when he's not playing, it's like we can't wait him to get back. And it's not. And yeah, I mean, off the ball, leadership, as my brother was saying, he did massive parts as to why we were so compact, why we were so hard to break down, why it was so difficult for Man City to create chances. That's all great, but also on the ball, building up from the back. When we have Sanchez there, when he's panicking, when he's putting the ball out of play, when he's giving imprecise passes, like that costs us a lot, because there's a lot of time that we should be able to be building from the back. And especially if you look at the 3 goals we scored, quick, fast, accurate, direct passes, which led Spurs to exploiting the space. If it's Sanchez, who's got no composure, who the quality more often than not is lacking, those chances go to waste, and all of a sudden the defense can get set and all this kind of stuff. It's no surprise that all 3 goals were started from the back, started from Romero and Dyer building, and they're our best centre-backs on the ball. There's no shock to me, and especially, as you say, Romero, who, as you say, he's ice cool in and around his own penalty area. It's unbelievable. And he's got quality there to show for it as well. And he's got the quality to back it up. He's got, he can hold off a man. And it's like what I used to say about Vertonghen, when he used to clear the ball. He never used to just clear it. He used to clear it with an aim of clearing it to someone, or as he used to aim his clearances, wherever as opposed to like someone like Sanchez, where he clears it, he tries to get safety first, which is fair enough. But when you have the quality of someone like Romero or Vertonghen, you can actually aim where you want your clearance to go, and they can you more often than not, because you've got good quality, will find a man, and that's what I see with Romero. I think he was absolutely exceptional on a Saturday night, and it's a breath of fresh air to see him and Dyer in the same team. We haven't seen it since Everton in the league, so it's been that long, and like it showed what they can do when they're the back together. And all of a sudden, as of before, when we have Sanchez there, you're like, oh, we're playing free at the back and we're trying to build and it's not working, and we're looking at we're lacking options. Then now we have Romero and Dyer there. All of a sudden, it looks like we've got a lot more quality on the ball to create chances, and it doesn't look anywhere near as bad.
I just wanted to quickly let you know, the Manchester United fan told me yesterday that Ben White was a better signing than Christian Romero. He's one of my best friends for about 14 years, and I will never speak to him again after a shocking take like that. The disrespect that Romero gets.
Ain't your best friend no more.
Oh, he certainly is, and he's been blocked, don't worry.
Because Romero got injured, that's the only reason he can say that.
Yeah, no, I think people are underestimating him because of that. But before we get to David and Harry Kane, I want to touch quickly on Rodrigo Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who I think tactically were absolutely crucial to this win. And David, you were kind of touching on earlier the way they were stepping up out of the midfield to essentially harass those Manchester City players when they were on the ball. And I think, of course, Conte set this up absolutely perfectly. And I did an article on Friday. I don't know if anyone read it, but Rodrigo Bentancur has more possessions won in the attacking third than Harry Winks, Oliver Skipp, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg combined since the beginning of 2020. And he's played 2,500 minutes less than those players. And you can see why that is. Because the way he steps out of midfield, it's not rash. It's not whenever he sees the ball, he goes for it. It's so calculated. And what we saw in that game against Manchester City was Højbjerg feeding off that and learning off that. And so many times, those two players, when it was either Rodri holding or any of what was essentially three centre-backs in possession, with those two midfielders pushing up, really, really pressuring them and forcing the ball out wide. So then you end up with either Cancelo on one side or Bernardo Silva, whoever it was on the right-hand side, they're in possession. We sit back into that 5-4-1 block and we allow City to have possession in those wider areas. And I do think that comes back to City not having a striker or not having an established striker. I think we felt comfortable if the ball was going to be crossed into the box that any of our three centre-backs could have won an aerial battle against Phil Foden. But when City then began to work the ball forward, I was really concerned about when they got the ball into those half spaces where we know Kevin De Bruyne has made a career from getting into those little pockets and whipping the ball in behind the defensive line, because we conceded 2 goals against Southampton from that space and we conceded 2 goals against Wolves from that space as well. But what we did so brilliantly was whenever the ball got into that space, Højbjerg, Bentancur and the centre-back from that side absolutely swarmed the players in possession every single time. And we allowed them to have that space out wide. But as soon as that ball came in a slightly central area, that was a trigger for that press to go and for those three players to swarm that ball and win it back. And that's all well and good. We're breaking down that Manchester City attack. But what we needed to do then was create our own attack. And I think Rodrigo Bentancur was absolutely crucial to that. And those moments where, if it had been a Harry Winks where he might have taken a touch and played it out wide for Sessegnon to clear up the line, or Emerson on the other side, or give it back to the centre-backs to boot it up the line, Bentancur was so smart in playing these quick little short passes and immediately turning and being able to receive that ball back, and then he can play that ball forward. And I thought Romero was really good at that, the composure that they have in possession and the ability to spot a little quick pass like that, I thought was absolutely crucial to Tottenham. And I think without Bentancur and Højbjerg in that midfield, there's no way we win that game. Because from that tactical standpoint, they were absolutely crucial and they executed a top-class Conte plan. They executed it to absolute perfection. But even saying how crucial they were, David, without Harry Kane on that football pitch, Tottenham are a completely different team. And that goes down as one of his all-time best performances in a Tottenham jersey. He had everything, absolutely everything. Just tell me. I'm going to leave you...
Look, I'll be honest, I'm not surprised. I expect these things. Look,
this is going to see us through to the end of the podcast, guys.
Exactly.
Sit down, relax.
I expect these things. Actually, I'll tell you a good quick story. There's a guy on my show yesterday. He said he shook Harry Kane's hand. So I have a DNA expert going over there to swab so I can get Harry Kane's DNA. But no, look, Harry Kane was absolutely unbelievable yesterday. His hold-up play, so strong. For the goal at the end, leaping like an absolute lion. Some of his passing, which we know he has, The guy was absolutely unbelievable. I gave him 10 out of 10 on my player ratings. Hair wasn't maybe the best tie. Could have looked a bit sharper. But my God, were his feet clean yesterday. You know, he was just absolutely quality. At one stage, you know, there was one City player running after him. And I don't know how many times he tried to jump on his back. I felt like giving him a saddle. But Harry Kane just kept on going, holding up the ball. And he's getting back to the Harry Kane that we know. But I would say even better, to be honest with you, getting a lot more involved in the games. What I would say against Man City, we've all seen this season that he can drop deep, pick up the ball and pass. But what he added against Man City was them runs into the box to be able to get onto the end, which maybe he hasn't necessarily done. But that's because if I was him, I wouldn't have believed that ball was coming, especially when it was out on the right-hand side. You look down that right-hand side of the team yesterday, and this is why Harry Kane benefited yesterday, or sorry, against City, not yesterday, but the day before, is because before we've had Lucas Moura, Harry Winks in the midfield, Sanchez there at the back line. It's not good enough going forward down that side. It's not strong enough either. But you have Bentancur, you now have Romero, and then you have Kulu. And every single one of them played their part. Look how composed they were on the ball. And when you have that down the right and as well down the left, through the middle, well, then you're going to get the very best Harry Kane. Because he can then do things that... Because before you're looking at him being the chief creator, dropping back, being the chief creator. But when he knows other people around him can start looking after the ball comfortably, you can get Harry Kane in them positions where it hurts City. You know? And I think that's what he benefited from against Man City.
Yeah, he's the best player in the world. And I think that's all we need to really need to take.
Definitely will be Saturday, that's for sure.
And I've got to say as well, when it comes to Harry Kane's winner, I think it's just a bit poetic the way it happened, because it was a proper striker's header that headed it into the back of the net using all of his strength, and that's exactly what City were missing. And that's exactly why City wanted him to score that type of goal. And then he turns up in the 95th minute to score exactly the type of goal that City want him to score. And I thought that was just an absolutely brilliant element to that winner.
That's not the only reason why it was poetic. First of all, because it was in that stadium at the Etihad, and second of all, because he completely, destroyed Kyle Walker, who was the last player they took off us as well.
It's poetic justice, that is. I don't know if you saw the Mike McGrath from the Telegraph reported on Saturday evening that Man City had an inquest in the dressing room as to how Harry Kane managed to rip them apart, and all they have to do is ask their scouting team, because they've identified that as the player that will take that club to the next level. And the celebrations, the smile on his face, the sheer joy you could see in him doing that post-match interview. You know, he wanted to go in the summer. We all know that, but this club still means more to him than anything else. And I think that is why he's starting to refine this form. And like I said, had one of the best performances he's ever had. And there we go. City had more chance of seeing God than stopping Kane. They absolutely did.
Damn right.
He was, like I said, that's a performance that will go down in history in Harry Kane's career. And I think for Tottenham players in the Premier League, he was utterly outrageous. But
it was pure clinical precision. I mean, he didn't get even the ball that many times, but every single time he got the ball, he did something unbelievable with it. Literally every single time. But the only time I can remember where he didn't do something brilliant was when he missed that chance, and he probably should have got a hat-trick. But at the end of the day, what a performance. 15 out of 10. Never mind 10 out of 10.
But you know, what we've been saying about Kane all along, though, you provide him the chances, he will take them. And we provide him the chances.
Yeah. Early in the season, you know, we were lumping it to Kane. He was all on his own. He had no one around him. And then we're saying, oh, Kane's playing terrible. It's like the structure was all over the place. We had nothing. And everyone was blaming Kane. It's like, as soon as you get a good structure in place, as soon as you have him at the forefront of that, he will fly. Harry Kane is not the problem. He was far from the problem at the beginning of the season. It was never him. It was always wider things. Kane is a consummate professional. He's always going to give his best for the team. He's never going to sulk. He won't do obviously he wasn't his best, but he doesn't do that kind of thing of just like feeling sorry for himself and sulking. But since Conte's come in, he's found his level again. This is the Harry Kane we know and love. And I wasn't just, everyone's waxing lyrical about this game. I thought against Leicester, he was just as good. I thought he was unbelievable. Like, he's been in sparkling form of late, and I'm all for it. And 7 league goals now. I know he's got a lot of catching up to do. 15 games to go, but I'm still gunning for him to hit that big 20 for sure.
Is this the
what
best
the
version
turnaround
at
would
the
be.
moment of Harry Kane that we're seeing in like the last 5 games or so?
It comes close for definite.
Yeah, because I think even last season last season he was exceptional, but I think there were even games where you're like, oh, he's coming too deep sometimes, or he's not, sometimes he's not getting involved enough. But I think this one is just like he's all over the shop. He's just everywhere. You can't stop him, and but he needs his teammates for that. And I feel like last season when he didn't have Son supporting him, he struggled. But now with Kulu with him as well, and the flying fullbacks, he's got a lot more support, and that definitely helps him a lot, I think.
And it
I think
also
a
says
crucial
a
part
lot.
of it-
It also says a lot when even John Cooper is calling me up and saying this Harry Kane looks a bit like 16, 17 Kane.
Come on, John.
If you had that Pochettino team at Harry Kane now, we're winning league titles for sure.
And one more
Yeah.
season at White Hart Lane. God.
Yeah.
Like we,
How-
one of
how-
the best
how-
Premier League
how-
teams of all time.
How many league goals do we reckon he finishes on? What are we saying?
He's
on
on
7 at the
7.
moment.
He's
He
two
has
15
behind
games to go.
How many games we got?
15 league games.
He's going to reach 20. He's going to explode this second part of the season.
I hope to God he does.
World Cup year, he's going to explode.
At least I've got a £50 bet on my friend that he hits 20.
Oh God, that's an expensive.
So it's going to be a tense one. But
Expensive risk.
I'm thinking I did it just after the Brighton game, so I was like, oh, he's going to do it. And then he went 2 games blanked against Wolves. I was like, oh God, I thought I'd cursed him, but definitely not after that.
I'm going to go for 20.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm able to go that high. He gets at least 10 more, so I'm going to go at least 17. But of course, it's not that far to the 20. But I think the crucial part for how this has turned around is Conte finding a happy medium between Kane last season and what he wants Kane to be. And we all heard him say during the Euros that if he had a striker like Harry Kane, he'd put him in the box and he'd leave him there. I think he found out in probably those last couple of games, the couple of defeats, that it's incredible having Kane up there, but as much as he's our best goal scorer, he's also our biggest creative outlet. And you need to get him back there. But even Alistair Gold has said Kane is the fittest he's ever been. Kane somehow being able to be that quarterback and then the one in the box, turn the ball in the back of the net on a couple of occasions, that is, you get the best of both worlds there with Harry Kane. And it's just such a joy to watch him. It really, really is. But as much as I'd love to sit here for another hour and wax lyrical about an incredible victory against Manchester City, we do now have a trip to Turf Moor on Wednesday. And let's be honest, none of us will be
Don't
surprised.
bring us back down to earth, man. Come on, don't bring us back
It has to
down
happen.
earth.
We got to preview it, Ben. It wouldn't surprise any of us if we went out and lost that game against Burnley. I was going to tweet it out yesterday morning, but I thought the backlash that I get would be too much to deal with on a day when I was still buzzing. But we'd all have rathered have beaten Southampton and Wolves and lost to Manchester City on Saturday, simply because we have 3 more points. And Tottenham have done this in the past where they've won these big games and then they've messed up in the games where he should be picking up these points. Conte spoke about the importance of that victory and the confidence that it brings to this team, and it shows them what they are capable of, because I feel a lot of the players in that team would have been doubting what we're capable of following the last couple of defeats. But David, this is a huge game against Burnley. It's one of our games in hand. I think it's 2 on West Ham, 3 on Manchester United. This, as much as the game against City on Saturday, is a must win.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? We can't put that pressure on the team because they will crumble. We've seen it time and time again. They've got to treat it just like another normal game. They can't put that pressure that they need it for top 4. They can't do that. But what I will say is we have lost 8 times this season. 4 at home, but 4 away in London. We haven't lost outside of London this season. So I expect that to continue. I know my stats are incredible today, Matty. I know you're
that's top notch, David. You're coming from my crown.
PFC, come on.
But look, we're going up against the Ginger Homer Simpson. To be honest with you, I think their main trait is that German sausage that they bought up front of Weghorst. We keep him
He's top quality, Dave. He's top quality.
And he's Dutch.
No, I
didn't want to say it.
He came from Germany, so it doesn't matter. All the same. But no, look, he's a good player. But if you keep him quiet, they have no focal point. They have nobody to play off, and then you keep the possession and hopefully pin them in their own half. I expect us to go out there, to be honest with you, with a bit of swagger, a bit of style, a bit of big boy mentality about us, and go and play Burnley off the pitch with that 11. with maybe Reguilon coming back in, I'm fully confident with the team. You put Harry Winks and Sanchez in there, forget about it. But with that same 11 from City, we're going to beat them easy.
Not with Aaron Lennon in the form he's in.
Exactly.
That goal from Lennon.
Roof bomb to the table.
Yeah, I know.
Spurs, though. This is the game that we lose. We win away to top of the table. I mean, it's
but look, we're judging it off losing to Wolves and Southampton when Winks and Sanchez are in the team. We don't have them.
They've got some good players in their team, Dave. Cornet's a good player. McNeil's a good player. Aaron Lennon's a top quality player. So I mean, they got good players in their side, and I'm not expecting to walk all over them on Wednesday. They're not going to leave any space in behind, like Man City gave us the whole of their half basically to play in. It's going to be very hard playing in within those tight spaces. Kulusevski has to start, in my opinion. He's going to be pivotal with the kind of creation he's got and picking the lock, which he can do. I'm expecting a win, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than people think. I think we're going to win by the odd goal, but they're going to make us work for it. I mean, they're getting to grips with their season now. They just went to the Amex and won 3-0. Highly impressive.
Yeah, that's not easy to do, and they haven't lost many games recently as well. Getting a lot of draws. They just drew 0-0 with Arsenal as well at the Emirates. They're getting a lot of points. And Weghorst, as Ben said, is playing very, very well. They drew with Man United very recently at Turf Moor as well. They're going to be a very difficult team to beat, and it's always at this point in the season where Burnley start to pick up the points they need to stay up, and they always turn it around. They usually have a poor start, and then they start picking up those points, and they've been there before, and they know even against the very best teams, they know how to play to get a point and to get what they need, and they're going to frustrate us. 100%, it's going to be a frustrating game if we don't get an early goal. And we let the game drift, it's going to become even more and more difficult for us to get those 3 points. So it's just a different test to Man City, completely different game. What the tools you need to beat Man City are not the tools that you need to beat Burnley. It's just completely different. And especially at Turf Moor, it's going to be very, very tough. But look, we have the quality for sure to beat them. We have the players. With Kane the form he's in, we can beat anyone. It's just about making sure we're concentrating, making sure we don't take the game for granted, making sure we're as up for it as Burnley are. Don't let them bully us, and then we can definitely get the win. But it's just going to be a very tight game, and we're going to have to be on top of our game inside their defensive third, with little passes, intricate. We need to be intricate and we need to be high quality if we're going to find it easy to score goals.
And not only that, but at the end of that Man City game, we put such an effort into that game. They were dropping like flies in that last 5 minutes. I haven't heard the injury news or anything like that, but Kane was walking gingerly after the game. Emerson had to go off with a knock. I mean, I don't know who. I can't remember.
Dyer was down for a time. Romero was down.
Exactly. All these players were down. So, I mean, we haven't heard anything. We'll hear more in the press conference tomorrow. But if some of these players are out for the weekend, then, we could actually be in trouble.
Well, I think... Just quickly is I get it that Burnley are a difficult team, but we can't forget that we went up there already this season, bet them 1-0 under Nuno Espirito Santo and a possible worst run of the season where we couldn't even get shots on target.
That was a Burnley second team, by the way.
Expect them to beat them right now after beating City in the style we did. Sorry, Ben.
That was like a Burnley second team we played in the cup, wasn't it?
Not really.
I can't remember, to be honest. I just remember begging someone to just shoot the ball at the keeper, even just passing it into his hands just to end that run of not having shots on target. It was absolutely shocking.
Those were dark days.
Yeah, God, like 4 games without a shot on target. But yeah, the two of you took the next question out of my mouth. It's such a different prospect playing up against that low block, and it's what we've struggled against for so long. But it's what we're hoping players like Bentancur and Kulusevski can help us overcome. Of course, Kane in the form that he's in will play a part in that as well. But it is going to be a very, very difficult one. Before we touch briefly on Leeds as well, we're going to get quick fire. So remember that, David. Yes. Score predictions for this game against Burnley on Wednesday. We'll start with you, Sim.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Spurs.
To Spurs, I hope. Good. Ben?
1-0 Spurs. Harry Kane.
David?
3-0 Spurs.
Boom.
Harry Kane and Sonny.
Boom.
Confident. I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. I'll go Kane and Kulu again. I feel like he needs a proper start. We of course play Leeds then as well on Saturday. We're going down the Ellen Road at 12:30 Saturday morning. I think getting Leeds at the best stage of the season, because they played United on Sunday, they play Liverpool on Wednesday, and then they play us on Saturday. A very, very difficult run of fixtures for them, a team who have been struggling with injuries all season and will continue to do so. I think Robin Koch could be out. He suffered a concussion and somehow was let back on the pitch in that game against United. But we'll just go for quick score predictions in this one as well. We'll go the other way around. David?
Yeah, just quickly, look, Spurs on the early kickoff never really do well. It's completely different. They have to try and get past it down the throw at 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, stuff like that. I don't think Tottenham, really turn up for early fixtures, but I'm buzzing off the City game. I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 versus Leeds.
Ooh, confident again. Ben?
Leeds is a very different game to Burnley. I'm actually more confident for the Leeds game than I am for the Burnley game. I think Leeds could play a bit into our hands in this one. And they might have a bit of tired legs after those two big games you're talking about. I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs.
I love it. Sim?
I'm going to go 2-1 again. I'm going to go nick it by the odd goal. Leeds, you just never know what Leeds are going to turn up, do you? But, 2-0 down against Man United, then got it back within 5 minutes, and then they go and lose 4-2. So they're just a very Jekyll and Hyde team. But I'm going to go for Spurs to nick this one.
That game was like Leeds in a nutshell, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Summed up in one game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to match.
We'll be a bit more pragmatic. I think like that will hopefully, if we can stifle them, they're going to leave space which we can exploit.
Yeah, I think we did that last season. I remember when we were on such poor form under Jose. There's a Leeds fan, Joe Wayman, I do a lot of stuff on YouTube with, and he, they were playing, I think, United one week, they had Chelsea a few weeks after. So the game he was terrified about was Tottenham, because we can catch them on the counter, and we still have that quality. So I think I'm going to match your prediction as well, Sim, and go for a 2-1 for Spurs. And I love that we spent 10-15 minutes talking about being pragmatic and really knowing the strength of this side, and then we all predicted double victories for the rest of this week, which I think is just absolutely a perfect way to end a Tottenham podcast. Before we do go, David, let the beautiful viewers know where they can find you on YouTube.
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Look, I try to do content daily. It's the third best channel on YouTube after WeAreTottenhamTV and Matt Hayes. So if Harry Kane makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, it's your channel. Smash that subscribe button.
David, is that second best Spurs channel in Ireland and number one Spurs fan in Ireland, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. That's the truth. Matt is the best channel, but I am the number one fan. I have so much passion. But look, I'm so close to the 6K. I'm about 80 off. If there's 80 people out there, get over there and smash it and make my day.
Come on, guys.
Absolutely, do that. His channel is linked in the title. If you just click on his name, it'll bring you right over there. Ben, Sim, what have we got coming up on We Are Tottenham TV this week?
Yeah, what have we got coming up? Tomorrow, you can find all the preview stuff for the Burnley game. Good Morning Tottenham, kickoff from 11 o'clock tomorrow. After that, you'll be getting a press conference from Antonio Conte. Hopefully no bad news on the injury front. And then predicted lineup coming up tomorrow. And then Wednesday is the watch long in the studio. Me and Sim are not making the trip up to Burnley. So you can catch me and Sim and Brian Daigle on the watch long on Wednesday night, which I'm looking
triple
forward
threat.
to.
I'll definitely be tuning into that one. If you want to, I'm busy at work at the moment, so I'm not really doing much on the YouTube channel. But I did an article, like I mentioned, on Kulusevski and Bentancur during the week. So if you head over to my YouTube channel, again linked in the title, go to the community section. The article is linked there, where you can basically learn why Rodrigo Bentancur is going to fix this Tottenham midfield. He offers different dynamic to what we're lacking. And he adds to the defensive resilience that we already have in there. So I'd appreciate any support on that one. But the main one is head over to David's channel, get him to 6K, and make sure to subscribe to We Are Tottenham TV as well. But for now, from 4 very, very happy Tottenham fans, thank you so much for watching. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.